I never really got to make friends. Yeah, but great, professors, great people, very friendly. So yeah.
That's awesome. Pandemic actually changed a lot of stuff when it comes to offline interaction in the class as compared to the online ones. So
Are you
it's very
all
nice.
offline for all classes? Oh,
Yes,
Yes.
not a single class that's online.
No.
Very
it's
interesting.
optional for us if we want to opt for an
Mhm.
online course, but we most probably take a offline one and try to be there in the university.
I see, I see. Okay. Also, let me blur my background. Okay, there we go.
Just a note, I have started the recording for this meeting and I think we have enough people. So Akash, you can start.
Okay. So welcome everyone. This is our final event for this semester. I'm Akash D'Souza. I'm the Corporate Relations Officer at the Product Base. I know everyone is busy with assignments and presentations and all kinds of submissions, so I'd like to really thank you all for taking your time out on a Friday to be here. Our topic today is user experience design for product managers. And our speaker is a fellow Comet. She was a student at UTD, if you all have not already gathered that information. And she's currently a product manager at HP, working closely with the design aspect of her product. She's going to share her interpretation of product management, her experience, and obviously her insights on design. She's also been kind enough to walk us through her resume, show us what separates a great resume from a good one. And I just want to again mention that all questions will be at the end of the meeting. So you can put them in the chat and we'll address them at the end of the meeting. All right, Soy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, let me start sharing my screen and let's see. Do you see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, let me make it to a presentation mode. How do I do that? Trust me, I'm a product manager and I know how to do this. I'm a little nervous right now. Okay. Are you able to see? Everything's good?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Hoyeon, but I go by Soy because no one can really pronounce my Korean name, and everyone at UTD remembers me as Soy. So I'm currently a product manager at HP, as Akash just introduced, and I graduated from UTD just last December. So it's been a year since I became a product manager. Today, I'll be talking about, and I don't know why we have this bad request thing, sorry about that. I'll be talking about the product management overview, user experience, an example of what I really do as a product manager and what are the details of becoming a product manager. And I'll also breaking into product management and where I'll be discussing about my resume and also do a Q&A session towards the end. So let me start from a PM overview. So what is it like to be a product manager at Hewlett Packard Enterprise? Just so you know, it's so HP Inc. and HP Enterprise, I think kind of like divided like a few years back. So many people still call us like HP, but it's just a slight difference. So HP Enterprise is where I work at. My experience at HP, I divided these into two because I interned there as a student JSOM, and now I'm a full-time employee there. So when I interned with HPE last summer, I was part of the SMB, also known as Small Medium Business team. There, I just talked with my manager actually a couple of weeks ago, and he said when you did the internship with us, it was more like a product management light. Not because it's like an easy product management, but because what we did as a team at SMB was we didn't produce or develop any product, but we were managing it after it was produced. So that's why we call it a product management light. Again, because it was during pandemic, I was a fully remotely working, and I was with the headquarter team, which is in Houston. So they were actually providing a lot of great networking opportunities and interns presentation days where we get to not only interact with our colleagues, but we get to introduce ourselves to like executive members and some do volunteer activities together. So that was like a given opportunity for interns, but again, I never got to go there because it's Houston. But yeah, that was my internship experience. Now I'm full-time. Many people ask me if it was a transition from my internship. No, I did 3 to 4 interviews with this team that I'm in right now. My director actually only came to realization that I had an internship with HPE at our second or third interview. So yeah, but anyways, this time I'm not with the SMB's team. I am with the Global Services Aruba Networks team where I'm part of the Global Product Lifecycle Management Organization. So within our team, sorry, do you hear the thunder? I'm sorry about that. But we call ourselves PLMs, so product lifecycle managers, and some people call us product managers. So we have 2 different names, but we are the product managers. Here again, my team is based in San Jose, most of them. So I'm working in California time. It's again full remote experience, and we are the technical product managers of the team. What I mean by that is we execute and drive digital products as technical product managers, and I'll go in more detail later as I talk about what we do as a product manager. And here I talk about the cross-functionality of like time, culture, and all these because as an intern before, I did interact with different teams, different organizations, but only now I actually have to communicate with them, go in meetings, discuss the details, and there's massive time difference because our team, our engineers are mostly in India, so sometimes we have to stay 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Texas time, and because we have to do some communication work like demo or presentation to Europe, Asia, there are times where I had to stay at like 1 a.m. and all that, but yeah. As a product manager, we tend to drive and execute 2 to 4 products in parallel. And currently I have my own 2 products that are executed, and currently I'm still managing, and 2 products that I'm building and 1 product that's coming up. So I have 2 to 5 products with me right now. Just one tip here, as product managers, we call ourselves the CEO of a product. So if you ever encounter an interview question, what is a product manager, then you should be able to really incorporate the term CEO into your product management skills and be able to explain that as a CEO, you not only really manage the product itself, you need to manage A to Z, meaning, you know, like discussion aspect before the launch, after the launch, how do you take care of it? How do you market your product? So as tech PMs, we are the CEO of our technical or digital products. So moving on. So since this theme is on user experience or user design, I have 2 questions that I wanted to share with you. First one is what tools are helpful? Second is how do I validate that my design that I come up with is really what the market likes or what the users like? So I'm going to tackle 2 main tools today. One is Confluence, where Confluence, which is basically a all-in-one platform for knowledge sharing within your team members. So it's kind of like Google Drive. You get to create a page, you get to create a table, or basically knowledge share after your team meeting or during your team discussion. And within this Confluence, they have this tool called Gleefy, and I'm going to share with you briefly what Gleefy does. As you can see, Gleefy has a business diagram tool where you can draw technical workflow, business workflow, or whatever discussion that you're in. And one way I use Gleafy is not only for diagrams, but I use wireframes. So they also provide different like sizes of frames. They provide icons where I can do the actual designing of what I'm imagining in terms of our portal. So yeah. And the second tool I want to focus more on is Whimsical. So I first got to encounter Whimsical back in college. I believe that's when I was interning with a PR firm. So I wanted to draw something to explain better to upper management. I found this free tool. Of course, free is always good. So yeah, that's how I've got to know Whimsical. And unfortunately, I'm not able to share with you the actual projects that I'm doing with HP because it's confidential. But I wanted to show you what I did back in UTD last year and a couple of years ago. So I joined a hackathon where, again, I was designing a product and our goal was to get some sponsorship from State Farm. And what our team and I were doing is basically design a mental health survey tool where users of our application can simply do the survey and get an appointment with our health providers or school counselors. So within Whimsical, it's very intuitive. You can find the frame that you like. And obviously here I use the font size to create a phone application. You can simply also go here to find which icons you want to use. For example, because I wanted to show our engineering, once we click on this calendar option, can we have this kind of workflow? So that's why I did like mouse, and very intuitively you can choose whatever icon you can use. Another example I want to briefly share with you is, I believe it was with Dr. Grafschacker. I did his digital consulting project where I worked with KPMG to come up with their employee onboarding automation application. As you can see, Whimsical also provides different size of the frame as mentioned. So I chose window this time. And I designed the tool along with my team members, of course. And one important aspect of a PM is you need to design or wireframe or mock-up in a way that you can explain to your engineers and even your UX designer how the workflow would go. So for example, once you click on submit, we want this pop-up to show. And once you click on this menu, you want the list of names. Once you click on the name, I want the details or the metadata of the employee. So these kind of workflow you should be able to show to your software engineers, solution architects who are there to listen to you and do the work for you, or for the product, I should say. So that's the whole point of having a wireframe tool. So that's the tool I use. And one last thing is Adobe. Many of you are maybe Photoshop experts, Adobe experts. I'm not personally. It's the UX designer usually that uses Adobe to create a working mockup or working wireframe. So I should say the wireframes that we offer as product managers is usually like elementary level, just simple framing of the design, whereas UX designers produce actual working, moving wireframe. One tip here is not stepping on, like each other's toes. So for example, as a product manager, you're obviously not a designer expert. You're not a UX designer. So you should always be careful of how you design and what kind of tool you use and how you communicate your design to the UX designer especially. And you should always be open to listen to their feedback or suggestions, because they know the standard of the designing. They know which UX is more fluid and more natural using for our users. And because you design the tool, that doesn't mean that you should be, I guess, hard-headed or stubborn about your design. Also listen to your engineers, because they know the limitation of my design and they can explain better why I'm not able to use such design to produce this product. So again, it's a lot of collaborative effort even after you design the tool. So now I want to talk about, wow. Okay, my apologies. Yes, now I want to talk about how do we really validate the design. So I put three main media or different ways of validating my own design. One is competitor analysis, one is getting help from experts, and one is usability studies. For competitor analysis, basically as a product manager of a tech company, one product I'm building today, just briefly explain, is a virtual assistant, like the live chat feature that we have, where we are able to interact with those AI robots or chatbots. So that's one project or product I'm building today. Because we don't have an expert within our team, what I did was I went into Amazon customer service to play with their tool. I went into my bank service to play with Bank of America's, like live chat service. Through those competitor analysis, you are able to consume what, as a user, like how is this product working? As a user, do you like the tool? And now as a product manager, how do I really enhance this tool to be better than other people's? So yeah, that's why I put competitor analysis as one validation point. And second, again, we're not the experts of the design. And as mentioned, currently I'm building a virtual assistant for our team. And we closely work with the AWS team as we are using their AI ML based functionalities. So I often reach out to the expert within AWS to show them my design. So what do you think of my workflow? Do you think this icon makes sense? Do you have an experience with other companies? So because they are the expert and they can provide non-biased view of the product, it's always important that you get the expert's view. Another example I put here is KPMG. Although we did use Whimsical to do the first designing of the product, they later encouraged that they want the students to learn about Appian. So, but because nobody in our team was Appian experts, we ended up getting connected to one of the Appian experts within KPMG. So they actually walked us through the how to code and how to design in a user-friendly way. So yeah, that's another example I wanted to share. Usability studies, it could be confusing with user acceptance testing, also known as UAT. So I got to work with this solution architect within our organization, and he accentuated that we should really do a usability study or studies of our product, meaning we need to reach out to actual users, not any of the internal employees. That way we get to hear non-biased feedback, and people that are not tech savvy can maybe struggle with the design that we came up with. So usability studies is all about cognitive psychology and user-centered design, and it's different from running or conducting UAT with people that may know you, the product, or the design that you came up with. So it's again the three main ways I validate my design today for any product. So what is it like as a product manager at HP? And I want to maybe also talk about my main product. I actually just talked about it, the virtual assistant, but yes, let's do. Daily life as a tech PM is this, meetings. We have a lot of meetings. I've been working remotely. There are times I'm not able to go to my kitchen to have lunch, dinner, because first thing, I work California time, so my lunch hour is usually 2 p.m., 3 p.m. And we have a lot of meetings. So what do these meetings, make us do? So as a product manager, tech PM, before the product launch, again, we do the designing or of the wireframes of the product that we want to review, and we review it with our colleagues, like product managers, because we all come from different backgrounds. Some product managers are very tech savvy. Some product managers come from non-tech backgrounds. So it's always important that within the team, you talk about the design too. And of course, you meet the expert of the UX designer. Does this follow, like HP standard color, HP standard, like sizing of, some portal icon, stuff like that. So you need to meet the UX designer. And you may be familiar with Jira, but as product managers, in order to communicate with software engineers or whatever engineers that build the product with us, we create user stories to review with the engineers. And during the daily stand-ups or product backlog meetings, we come together to talk about how are we going to allocate such engineer resource to this user story, meaning, let's say I'm trying to build a virtual assistant today, and I want to include a translation feature. In order to have the translation feature, how many engineers are needed? And is that really the priority of this product that I'm building? And yes, we want to have the translation feature, then okay, let's make that as our priority because we're going to need a lot of engineer resource. So that kind of discussion we do on a daily basis or weekly basis. And again, as product managers, you must know your product because you are the CEO, not just the front end, but also the back end functionality. And you should always have a good mock-up to not only communicate the workflow of the product, but also to convince the engineers. Sometimes we have different sets of eyes, of course, and we all come from diverse backgrounds. Sometimes it's not easy to come to a single conclusion. So you need to really understand what you want and how you can please the user as a product manager. And of course, the main aim or, like the target of product manager is our cost or revenue making or saving costs. So you need to sit down with other product managers, business analysts, cost analysts, pricing specialists, all those people to come up with like the ROI and the cost analysis of this product. And it's time that you convince the stakeholders and management, upper management, to get the budget you need and also tell them, with this budget, we're going to make this much saving and this quarter we can make this much revenue. So that's basically the main goal of producing or developing a product. So that's one of the most important, essential key things to do as a product manager. And let's say you review your user stories and your product is going pretty well in terms of development. Now it's time that you talk with marketing and legal to position your product. What I mean by that is, for example, I currently am building a virtual assistant. How is it going to help with our company? But am I able to speak in such way that it's not going to hurt our, reputation? So is it legally okay for me to mention such line to European users? Because Europe, US, Asia, we all have, and many other countries, like continents, have different laws that we have to comply by. So you always want to be careful of what you say. And of course, it's not good to make any grammatical error as a product manager. So that's why you need marketing involved as well. You do have to do the demo yourself. So as a product manager, I recently launched a portal where users are able to do some product searching. Sorry, I cannot go in more detail. But because we have this tool within our portal, I now have to not only train the end users, I need to do a demo of how they can really, customers and partners can really use this tool. So that's what you do in demo. And lastly, you need to define your key point indicators and also business metrics, because again, the main goal of making this product is to make a revenue. So make sure to come up with a dashboard that you can always visit to see how your product is doing. So yeah, after the product is launched, again, pretty much the same thing continues. you need to keep producing user stories and do the cost analysis of are we really doing well, and of course review the KPI metrics analytics as PMs and different stakeholders or management, because if you're not doing well, then maybe you need to do something about it, right? And you keep, as a product manager, one fun and also challenging thing is you keep hearing different user feedback. Some people think it sucks, some people think it's amazing. So you continuously have to do some market research because you don't want to be wavered by different voices way too much. But make sure to put everything in parking lot, and then again, by reviewing those parking lot items, you can produce some enhancements to the existing product. And as mentioned briefly earlier, we execute products and also in parallel are developing different new products. So that's why we have many meetings as product managers. Now, breaking into product management. Okay, just checking our time there. I'm going to share with you my resume, and because I'm an international student myself, I want to briefly talk about how to get into product management as an international student. So this is my resume. My apologies if you're not able to read these, but I can just briefly go through. So on top, I have my education, followed by my skill sets and my professional experience and honors awards and other skills. I did follow the guideline given by school, but because I update my resume on a monthly basis depending on the project and products that I work within HP. I make sure that I don't forget, so it's a good practice to update your resume. That's why it may be looking a little different from how when I first applied to different companies. So first part, many people say to just keep the highest education received, but I went ahead and still put my undergrad because I don't know if you can read again. I did political science, international relations, because just to briefly go over my background, I'm Korean, I was raised in the Philippines, so I thought having that international background was my key. So, but that didn't really end up like that. I ended up working for tech-related companies or tech companies. I did a lot of like ERP integration as like a customer service rep. I did a business analyst job, so I did a lot of working with SAP consultant, engineers, integration work, and I found technology very fun and exciting. So I wanted to become a project manager, thinking that's what I wanted to do. So I ended up at UTD, and I learned that product management was where my heart was going afterwards. So after that, I focused my track on product management. I believe ITM course has the product management course, the specialty. I forgot the track term, but yeah, so that's what I did. I took a lot of courses on my weakness area. For example, like statistics. As political science major, I never had to do math any sort of, so that was my weakness. So I did that. Although I did have 3-4 years of experience working in a tech environment, I didn't know what SQL, what Python or how, but only after studying them at JSOM, I am now able to really consume what the engineers talk about, what the architects are asking me, So that's the important aspect of, I guess, choosing your class. Make sure if you want to be a product manager, you need to understand technology and at the same time business aspect. I put both soft skills and technical skills under my skills because, again, you do need technical skills as product manager, especially if you want to work for a tech company like myself. But that doesn't mean you need to be an expert. I did learn Python, I did learn SQL. I don't know how to use them anymore. I do a little bit. I should be careful what I say here, but I'm not an expert, I should say, because I'm not a software engineer. I'm not like a DB person, but because I learned about these technical skills, it's time for me to apply these within my soft skills. So as product manager, you need to make sure you interact with different organizations, different team members to develop this digital product. And without having those technical information or knowledge, you're not able to communicate with different architects, engineers. That's why it's critical that you do grasp some of the technical skills to apply them to soft skills. So how I got into product management intern without having any product management background, I applied to around 180 companies when I was looking for summer internship. As you may know, during the pandemic, the market was really bad, and especially for international students, I should say they're not really open to opportunities. But I was taking like 5 courses per quarter or per semester, and I was also working at the OIT as a Microsoft student supervisor. The only time I had was really from like 11 p.m. to like 1 a.m. So I promised myself for 1 semester that I'll be applying to every single tech company I know or I find on LinkedIn during those couple hours every day. So that's what I did throughout the entire fall quarter. And luckily, I was able to get the internship with HPE. And yeah, from there, I gave myself a month break from applying and interviewing because I just wanted to stop talking about myself and why I wanted to break into product management. But starting, I think 2 or 3 months before my graduation month, which was last year, December, again, I was applying to around 200 companies, so entire semester. So it's a lot of effort. It's a lot. It's very time consuming. It's mentally draining, but I should say you need to do it. And one tip here is I once interviewed with Starbucks headquarters Seattle. My hiring manager told me they review like of course, tens and hundreds of resumes every day, but my resume stood out because not only did I have my resume, but I had a cover letter. She said out of like 30 resumes she reviews per day, only 3 people do their cover letter, but I applied to like 200 companies with all different cover letters. So that's one tip I want to give to you. As international student, cover letter is especially important because resume, everyone goes to good school, everyone has good experience, but only in cover letter you're able to show who you are. So that's just my tip. And make sure you use the same resume for all companies. I mentioned that I use different cover letters for every single company, but I did not change every single paragraph. I did change, like the company's vision and how I can be an asset to the company. So like a few lines I had to change, but I always make sure to stick to the core of the cover letter or the skeleton I always had, because again, that shows who you are, and you need to stick to your values and what you're good at, and that just like practice makes perfect. You are continuously practicing what you want to say over and over again through cover letters, so to different people and companies. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share. Lastly, I want to share with you tips to being a wise product manager. I put wise because product manager role may sound fancy, and like people say, oh, it's fun job because you get to interact with a lot of people, but it's also mentally draining because you need to be smart enough to and wise enough to talk with people from different backgrounds. So yeah, and I reviewed these 9 tips with my director of product management and also my supervisor. So these are some valuable tips coming from much senior level people than myself. So yeah, first thing, record your meetings. If your brain is too fried, that's me every day. You need to record your meeting and go back to it, whether at night or during your break. Just make sure, because that's also going to give you some good notes. And as product managers, good good product managers share their meeting minutes, so make sure to share your notes and also action items. What I was taught when I first started with HP was make sure to highlight the name of the people, because people are busy, everyone's busy. So for example, I need to say Sally to like work on this, for example Brian to work on this. You need to highlight those people's names. You're not being mean by doing that. Everyone is used to being, I guess, called out, but that's not a bad call out. It's basically you're allocating different, responsibilities to people to make a product. So that's what you need to do as a product manager. Again, as mentioned before, try not to step on others' toes. So PMs need to be wise in communicating. So I wanted to learn so much about like a backend of I should say a tool that we were building. So I asked too many questions to our technical lead. He wasn't happy with me, thinking, you're not even a tech lead or a software engineer. Why do you want to learn such things? I was actually asked this question and I was shocked because I was just purely curious of how this backend thing worked, because I'm not coming from a tech background. But things like that happen a lot to PM, not just myself. So yeah, and again, as a tech PM, the world is evolving very quickly. You need to study and research. So constant market research and competitor research, and really talking with your friends in different companies and having some networking sessions. And I personally go to like online networking, if not networking event, online product management courses to learn about the trend. So as PMs, you need to follow the trend or on top of everything. So yeah, make sure to study and research. Ask questions, but don't be shy and be personal. When I say be personal, meaning don't ask them about, so what code did you use to produce this? That's not being personal. Ask about, so how are you doing? Happy Friday. Hope your projects are going well. I wanted to ask you blah 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 because I'm struggling to understand blah blah blah. So you need to wisely ask questions to get the answers that you need, because you don't want to overwhelm the other parties. And as mentioned, make sure all your notes or your feedback are in parking lot, because you need to again go back to them to enhance your products. Just because you launch your product, that's not the end of product management. And don't be wavered by too many voices. We do have many voices coming from the engineers, solution architects, designers, customers, partners, different PMs. So from my experience, when I first started building a tool that we had to build for our team, for example, I wanted to use color orange, but like 5 different people told me 5 different colors. That's just one bad example I'm sharing with you. But as product manager, you want to please so many people, so you end up being wavered by so many voices, but don't do that. So that's a lesson I'm still learning as a new product manager. And this was a key to being a product manager. There are product managers that are people managers, but you're not there to manage people, you're there to manage the product. So you're managing people wisely to produce a product, so that should come without authority. So that's the most important tip coming from my supervisor. He wanted to share with this school as well. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and yeah, the floor is yours to ask me any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much,
Soy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to ask
Last
questions?
question.
I see a question, many questions actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just ask the first one. How does one know if one UX design is better than the other?
There is no way to know that. So as a product manager, what we are constantly reminded is, unless the product is out there in public or in production, the actual end users will give you feedback. But again, because everyone comes from different backgrounds and experiences, people be critical. Some people may be nice to you. So, but again, I can say that a good design is when users don't ask too many questions of where to go to click on that, or yeah, it's intuitive. That's what I mean by a good design. But at the same time, there are many policies and standards that you need to follow of the company. So yeah, that's my.
Okay, the second question is technical and behavioral skills on the resume that help to get into product management from business analytics.
Technical skills and behavioral skills on resume. So when I interviewed as a PM, I should say the technical skills, I was never really questioned on, do you know how to code using Python? Do you know how, like they never really asked me that. But understanding, like SQL and the backend, how to really communicate with different engineers and what kind of codes exist is the kind of technical skills or questions you get as interview questions to get into product management. And business analytics, I believe you focused a lot on data, right? Because I was a business analyst, which is different from business analytics. So I want to be careful here, but again, being a product manager, one key skill is to read the dashboard, study the metrics, and make sure that you're creating some sort of revenue or do the cost analysis. So that's one key technical skill that you can bring into product management.
Okay, I just want to add something. When you had mentioned that you asked your lead about a technical issue, I want to know what is the best way to go about situations where there are some like gaps in technology. Like suppose in your virtual assistant, if you're using AI or machine learning and it's something you're not very well versed with, what is the best way? Is it to schedule a one-on-one with your engineering team or ask people above you or just read a lot of company documents? Well, how do you do it?
Great question. So yes, reading company documents, like the history of this project, because usually many products come to you after many product managers either let them go or they never pass the management review because of some, like issues going on in the company or due to some limitations. But other than reading, the best way is, like you said, having a one-on-one call with your tech lead or engineer to understand the technicality of the product. But because you want to be careful not to step on their toes or go over the boundary, make sure you do a lot of research from your end. There's a lot of good YouTube, resources. So I watch a lot of YouTube videos on, AI or ML or how different virtual assistant work with, like Amazon, like different companies. So make sure you have some knowledge, even to have a one-on-one with a tech lead, and make sure the questions are not overwhelming towards the tech lead, but it's really on the product and you're curious to build a product. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, the next question is, I think resume tips we covered. What resources can be used to learn or improve our user design skills?
I should say one thing that really helped me was I mentioned about an interview with Starbucks, but it's not a tech company, but as a user, I always had issue with their Starbucks app. I did not like it. I was having errors, like I knew something could improve. So what I did was I went on Whimsical and I designed the tool myself. So I just did some drawings and, like if the workflow went from this click to this click, it will be much easier for end users, something like this. So just keep like playing with, like Whimsical is a very easy free tool as long as you have Google account. So I should say just play with the tool and leverage on your courses. So for example, like digital consulting project, I believe everyone in ITM has to take that. And also join hackathon if you have opportunities or something like that.
Okay, okay. And The next question is interview questions and resources for preparation.
So I personally think product managers should be good at behavioral questions. So they ask you about like your negotiation skill, again, communication skill. What happens if you're having like you encounter a challenge talking with this person? This person is not producing a product or like being cooperative to you. So the behavioral questions, there are many of them online. I personally created a list of, I think, like 50 behavioral questions that I could find. And Amazon, to be honest, has great behavioral questions. You know, I believe how many like was it like the 12 keys that you have to go by, like the rules in Amazon? I don't.
Yeah, I think they have leadership principles.
Yeah, the leadership principle thing,
Yeah.
and Google has everything, guys. So make sure you do a lot of like behavioral questions, and it's good to use your friends to ask you questions. And STAR, STAR, situation, task. What was it?
Analysis, I think action, situation,
Action.
task, action, and result.
Result.
Yeah.
Literally, what I did was come up with a list of behavioral questions I could find online, put star of each question next to each question, and then did, you know, what was my situation to answer this question. But again, don't create 50 different scenarios to do the star. Have 3-4 good examples and learn to position the answer so that the listeners or interviewers will understand, okay, so this person knows how to act in this kind of situation, this kinds of, you know, like behavioral, you know, like situation. And yeah, just be confident on your stars. So that is my main tip.
Okay. You spoke about attaching a cover letter and its importance. I just wanted to ask you what should a good cover letter include?
Good question. It's been a while since I reviewed my own cover letter. So how I usually start is I never ever discuss what's on my resume. Do not be redundant. Employers do not like to read your resume 2 times, 3 times. So talk about a specific experience from a company where either it was a challenge for you or whether it was a good resolution case, like a star interview question that you want to put out there. And as international students, I'm pretty sure many of you here are, you want to show that you are culturally diverse or, you know, inclusive in the sense that you are able to solve such issue by going to different people, asking, you know, like different questions and really accepting their suggestions. And from this, you learn, you know, you will tackle the same situation this way, something like that. So you really need to show that you are diverse enough to be part of a different culture. And yes, that's the main tip I should say. And I don't know if I can mention this, but it's still being recorded, right? So I know school, I don't know if you're still taught to put your like visa, like OPT for 1 year, OPT for.
Yeah.
I took that out because that's not going to it's not a plus, I should say. You want to go to, who's going to review this recording? Okay. No offense to school. Just trust me. Yeah, it's just from my personal experience, you don't have to put out there that you need sponsorship. You need to, first thing is go like pass resume, cover letter, and then get the interview. And from there, you gotta sell yourself.
Yeah.
And from interviewing process or application process, companies ask anyways, do you need visa sponsorship, right?
Yeah.
Only there you can still answer. You don't have to mention that everywhere. You don't have to. Yeah, and then even like big tech companies usually during the interview ask you about visa, then you be honest with them. Don't lie, of course. Then most companies say, okay, not an issue. But let's say it's like a smaller companies or companies that are going through, you know, like budget cuts and like HP currently is going through hiring freeze, budget freeze, because we don't want to lay off anyone. We want to keep the resources. So companies are being really careful with the application process, I believe. But only then they can maybe tell you the alternative solution, or if they can connect you with other hiring managers. But my tip is do not put that on your resume. Yes.
Got it. This is one question I ask every product manager. What is your most favorite and least favorite aspect of your role?
Oh. Having many meetings is like a love-hate relationship. My personality, I love staying busy. So back-to-back meetings are draining, mentally, physically draining, but at the same time, I'm learning a lot. I'm absorbing so much information from so many smart people in the organization. So I like being in meetings. Does that sound? Yeah, maybe I'm lying. Yeah.
It's a unique answer for
Like
sure.
yeah, I know. It's like a love-hate relationship. But I guess being creative, I should say, is one best thing about being a product manager. Because I know many product managers come from like consulting or designing, and hear people mention like business analytics. So everyone has their own like specialty or experts or what they really want to produce or put into their product. And you get to do that as a product manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, as engineers, no offense to engineers out here, you can be creative in the way you code stuff, like create everything, but at the end, the product is the product managers. The CEO of the product is the product manager. So I guess you get to be more creative compared to other roles in the organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So anyone else has any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, thank you so much, Soy, for this amazing, insightful session. I just had one question could you please let me know, based on your experience, how does the usability testing, user testing, and the product demos, they differ or are similar in any ways?
Sorry, if I heard you correctly, how is like the usability studies and then UAT and demo like differ?
Product demos, yeah, differ or are similar in any way?
Good question. So usability studies again is similar with product demos because we are facing the actual end users. So they don't know how my team, like our team, produce this product, right? They don't know the process, they don't know the struggles or like the, like goods and like ups and downs of building this product. So they can tell us a very unbiased, like third, fourth, fifth eyes point of view of how this product sucks or it's good, and only there you can see that, okay, this is not user-centered design. Apparently our users are struggling to use it. So our design was too focused on, I guess, PMs or internal people who are used to seeing HP products, something like that. And UAT is different from usability studies and product demos because, as mentioned, UAT is usually run or conducted within the organization. So they are used to using technology because I work for a tech company, right? So most of our testers do have technical background. So they may provide feedback that are very valid, but not possible just like end users. But the fact that they know the company culture, background, and the product, like information themselves gives, I guess, provide different feedback. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, then once again, thank you, Soy, for your time. Thank you for talking about your resume. I'd like to again thank everyone for being here. And yeah, enjoy your weekend. That's it for me.
Have a nice weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.